We all know that digital computers changed virtually every aspect of our life. Well, the arrival of quantum computers could be even more historic than.
What if the most advanced quantum computer in the world discovered something so terrifying, so impossible, that its creators were forced to shut it down? What if the future we thought we knew was never meant to be uncovered? In a shocking turn of events, NASA's quantum project ground to a halt after uncovering results that defied the laws of physics. Silence followed, and the world was left in the dark. What did they find, and why is no one talking about it? The truth might be more shocking than you ever imagined.
And lead Harmut Nevin said that the chip's performance lends credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes.
In late 2023, the world of quantum computing experienced a shocking turn of events, with reports emerging that NASA's most advanced quantum computer had generated results so unexpected, operations were immediately halted. According to several independent sources, the results were not just unexpected, they defied the known laws of physics. What was supposed to be a breakthrough in understanding space phenomena and advancing our technological capabilities in quantum computing seemed to have revealed something far more troubling: the possibility of discovering something that we were not prepared to handle. This revelation is tied to the work NASA has been conducting in collaboration with Google and its Quantum Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, a project that has been regarded as cutting edge in the realm of quantum research. For years, this lab has been a hub of technological advancements aimed at pushing the boundaries of what we understand about the universe. Their quantum computing system, which was originally designed to simulate complex systems like space weather and spacecraft trajectories, suddenly became the center of attention for a very different reason. In the span of a few months, the project went from one of the most promising in quantum computing to one of the most secretive, as NASA halted its operations without offering any official explanation. What makes this pause even more puzzling is the silence that followed. NASA has not published any new research since April 2023, a striking contrast to the lab's previous activity, which saw frequent papers and groundbreaking findings being shared with the public. This sudden cessation in output is alarming, especially considering the rapid progress made in quantum computing up until that point. Experts had expected the lab's work to continue at an accelerated pace, with discoveries being made that could potentially revolutionize fields like medicine, materials science, and artificial intelligence. Instead, the world was left with a resounding silence. This silence wasn't just due to the absence of new publications. It was compounded by the fact that NASA, an organization known for its transparency and research, went completely dark on this subject. Despite the Quantum Lab's long history of sharing progress and breakthroughs, nothing came out of it after that moment in April 2023. And it wasn't just NASA that had a sudden change in behavior. Alongside the public quiet, there was a significant uptick in government funding and oversight on quantum computing, particularly with the National Quantum Initiative receiving a sudden budget increase in early 2024. In addition, the Pentagon created new divisions dedicated to quantum research, and classified briefings on the topic soared by 300%. These moves came swiftly and without explanation, further raising suspicions about what had transpired behind the scenes. It was around this time that the reports started to surface, and it became clear that something significant had taken place. TechZone, an online publication, was the first to break the story, claiming that NASA had paused its quantum computing operations because the system produced outputs that were inconsistent with known physical laws. These reports were quickly followed by another bombshell from Tech Shepherd, which suggested that the pause wasn't due to failure, quite the opposite. According to their sources, the pause occurred because the quantum system succeeded too well. The computer's calculations were so extraordinary, so far beyond current understanding, that they prompted immediate reassessment and intervention. What exactly had the quantum computer uncovered? It wasn't a small anomaly or an error that could be corrected. No, these results were much more profound. The computer had apparently solved problems that weren't supposed to be solvable, according to our current understanding of physics. If we look at the timelines of events, it becomes even clearer that something extraordinary was happening. Between November 2023 and July 2024, multiple sources reported incidents that were described as impossible solutions, outputs that worked, but should not have been possible. One of the most unsettling aspects of this situation is the fact that NASA's Quantum Research Department has not only halted its publishing but also failed to offer any official statement or update. While Google, the company behind much of the quantum computing technology in collaboration with NASA, was making headlines with its new Willow processor. Another major breakthrough in quantum computing, the silence at NASA continued. This is a curious development, especially when you consider how long NASA had been involved in high-profile quantum research projects alongside major tech companies. It begs the question, why was NASA keeping quiet when the technology was on the verge of reaching its peak potential? There's a broader pattern here that cannot be ignored. When Google revealed its Willow processor in December 2024, the world took notice. The new processor was said to be capable of calculations that would take classical computers billions of years, a quantum breakthrough in its own right. But why, just as this technology was reaching its peak, did NASA go completely silent? Why had they ceased all publications and cut ties with their usual public-facing initiatives? This silence, combined with the reports of these extraordinary results, creates a disturbing scenario. If these quantum computers, capable of performing simulations at levels of complexity far beyond anything classical computers can manage, were able to generate outputs that challenge our very understanding of the universe, what were they uncovering? And more importantly, why was the response to these findings so extreme? The deeper implications of this scenario begin to take shape when we consider the nature of the technology that NASA was working with. Quantum computers, unlike classical systems, don't just process information in a linear fashion. They can process vast amounts of information simultaneously thanks to quantum superposition. This means they can evaluate millions of possibilities at the same time, which enables them to solve complex problems that would otherwise take impossible amounts of time to compute using traditional methods. In fact, in 2019, NASA's partnership with Google helped achieve quantum supremacy, where their quantum computer solved a problem in 200 seconds that would take classical computers 10,000 years to solve. However, what if these quantum systems weren't just solving problems? What if they were uncovering something far more significant? Something that goes beyond the realm of space exploration and technology? This question becomes even more critical when we examine how quantum computers function. They don't just calculate faster, they function in a fundamentally different way. They use quantum superposition and entanglement to calculate multiple potential outcomes at once. This enables them to model systems that are far too complex for classical computers to handle, including phenomena like space weather, climate change, and even the dynamics of human civilization. At the heart of this issue is the question of what the quantum computer may have discovered. If the quantum system was indeed uncovering results that challenge the very laws of physics, it raises an unsettling possibility. Could it have uncovered something about our future? And if so, what are we supposed to do with that information? As these questions loom, it becomes clear that the implications of this discovery go far beyond quantum computing. They touch on the future of humanity itself. In the world of quantum computing, the line between breakthrough and catastrophe is razor thin. Since the early days of research, quantum computing has promised to change everything we know about technology in our universe. However, what we are seeing now is far from the optimistic predictions that once painted quantum computers as mere futuristic tools to speed up calculations. Instead, they have quickly evolved into machines that can process information in ways that challenge our most fundamental beliefs about the nature of reality. This story begins with the work NASA has been doing in partnership with Google, two of the most influential organizations in quantum computing. In 2019, NASA and Google achieved a major milestone in quantum computing by reaching what is called quantum supremacy. It was an event that sent shockwaves through the tech world. The quantum computer, designed with NASA's assistance, solved a problem in just 200 seconds that would have taken a traditional supercomputer more than 10,000 years to complete. It was hailed as the moment quantum computers finally showed their potential, an event that confirmed that quantum computing was not just a theoretical concept, but a rapidly evolving reality. Yet in just a few short years, the excitement and optimism that followed quantum supremacy began to fade into something darker. The turning point came in late 2023 when reports surfaced that NASA's quantum computing project had come to a sudden and unexpected halt. According to multiple independent sources, the quantum system had produced results so outside the boundaries of what we understand about physics that it forced a complete reassessment of the technology. At first, these results were thought to be anomalies, small glitches in a new and complex system. However, as more details emerged, it became apparent that something far more extraordinary was at play. The quantum system wasn't malfunctioning. It was succeeding in ways that we had not yet anticipated, and the implications were both breathtaking and terrifying. The system's results weren't just surprising, they were fundamentally at odds with known laws of physics. Scientists working on the project reported that the outputs defied our current understanding of everything from quantum mechanics to relativity. It was as though the quantum computer had unlocked a set of solutions that shouldn't be possible, or at the very least, shouldn't be achievable with the current state of technology. One report described the outputs as solutions that worked but shouldn't have been able to exist in the context of the laws we use to explain our physical world. In the weeks following the incident, sources within NASA reported that the results generated by the system were so profound that the entire operation was paused for immediate reassessment. This news was both staggering and perplexing. What had NASA's quantum computer uncovered that was so extraordinary? Why was there such a rush to stop the project when the quantum system seemed to be pushing the boundaries of our understanding? Even more baffling was the fact that NASA, a normally transparent organization, went completely silent. Unlike other research facilities which would typically release information about such a groundbreaking moment, NASA made no public statements. In fact, the Quantum Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, QUAIL, which had been regularly publishing papers and updates on their quantum computing research, hadn't released a single new research paper since April 2023. This quiet pause was unprecedented, particularly given the lab's history of rapid advancements and constant publication. When the news broke, the first reactions were to speculate on the possible causes. Was the quantum system malfunctioning? Has something gone horribly wrong, forcing NASA to pull the plug on the project? But as more information emerged, it became clear that the situation was far more complicated. According to a report from TechAzon, NASA didn't stop the project because of failure. Rather, the quantum system had succeeded too well. It had generated results so unexpected and so far outside of normal parameters that the researchers were left with no choice but to halt the project and conduct an immediate investigation into what had happened. As more reports emerged from sources close to the project, it became evident that the research being conducted at NASA was far more than just an academic exercise. The quantum computer had been solving complex problems related to space exploration, such as modeling the behavior of space weather, optimizing spacecraft trajectories, and simulating other astrophysical phenomena. These are problems that require incredibly high computational power and are fundamental to NASA's mission. But now it seemed the computer wasn't just solving these problems, it was going beyond what anyone expected, reaching new levels of calculation and insight that were both astonishing and unsettling. A major part of the confusion surrounding the situation came from the nature of the technology itself. NASA had been working with quantum computers for years, and their partnership with Google had been key in driving progress. Google, with its breakthrough Willow processor, had pushed the limits of what quantum computing could achieve, with a system that could perform calculations in seconds that would have taken classical computers millions of years to complete. But while Google's advancements were celebrated publicly, NASA's quiet halt raised a lot of questions. Why, at the peak of quantum computing technology, did NASA go silent? This silence became even more striking when Google announced the release of the Willow processor in December 2024. Willow represented a huge leap forward in quantum technology, capable of performing computations on a scale that would previously have been impossible. Yet, just as this new processor was being unveiled, NASA's quantum team, who had been involved in similar research, went radio silent. It was as if the timing of the release and the cessation of NASA's research were connected. How could the same technology that led to such a significant leap forward also lead to complete silence from one of its main collaborators? The situation only deepened when it was reported that the US government, which had been increasing its interest in quantum computing for years, began to invest heavily in the field. The National Quantum Initiative saw a significant funding boost in 2024, and the Pentagon established new quantum research divisions. These moves raised eyebrows as they suggested that the government was preparing for something significant, something that we may not fully understand. Why, if quantum computing was still in its early stages and facing numerous challenges, was there such a rush to pour money into the field and increase government oversight? Was it possible that the government had been briefed on the findings from NASA's quantum computer and was now taking steps to prepare for the unknown? As these developments continued to unfold, it became evident that there was more at play than just technological progress. The rapid acceleration in funding and research, coupled with the eerie silence from NASA, suggested that something extraordinary had been uncovered. The government's interest in quantum computing wasn't just about technological advancement. It was about something deeper, something that we weren't meant to fully understand just yet. The reports from the quantum system, coupled with NASA's sudden withdrawal, paint a troubling picture. If the quantum computer was able to generate results that went beyond the limits of known physics, what did that mean for our understanding of reality? And if NASA had stumbled upon something so profound, why was the information being kept under wraps? Was it possible that the quantum computer had discovered something we weren't ready to hear? Something so world-altering that it couldn't be shared with the public? As we look at these reports and analyze the sudden and unexplained changes in NASA's behavior, it becomes clear that something momentous happened in 2023 and 2024. The halt in operations, the silence from NASA, and the massive increase in government investment suggest that the quantum system had uncovered something far more significant than anyone could have anticipated. Whether it was a glimpse into the future, a discovery about the nature of our universe, or a profound insight into the potential collapse of our civilization, one thing is certain: the world of quantum computing is on the verge of revealing truths that we may not be ready to face. The unfolding events surrounding NASA's quantum computing project have raised more questions than answers, leading us to consider the broader implications of what might have been uncovered behind closed doors. The silence from NASA and the sudden unexplained halt in their quantum research have left experts, governments, and even the general public speculating about the true nature of the discovery. While the quantum computer's breakthrough results were initially met with disbelief, it's becoming increasingly clear that the true magnitude of what occurred may be far more unsettling than anyone could have imagined. To understand the gravity of the situation, it's important to first take a step back and recognize the power of quantum computing itself. Unlike traditional computing, which operates on binary bits, either a 0 or a 1, quantum computers utilize quantum bits, or qubits, which can exist in multiple states simultaneously. This ability allows quantum computers to process information exponentially faster and more efficiently than classical systems. While classical computers are capable of solving problems sequentially, quantum computers can analyze a multitude of possibilities at once, enabling them to solve complex problems that would take traditional machines millennia to figure out. This fundamental difference gives quantum computers the potential to revolutionize entire fields, from pharmaceuticals to climate modeling and even space exploration. NASA's collaboration with Google in the development of quantum computing has been instrumental in advancing the field. Since 2019, the two organizations have worked together to push the boundaries of what's possible with quantum technology. Their success in achieving quantum supremacy, a milestone where a quantum computer outperforms classical computers in a specific task, was seen as a major victory for the scientific community. But as powerful as these machines are, they also carry risks that we're only beginning to understand. The unexpected results that led to the pause in NASA's quantum computing project were not just a minor glitch or an error in calculation. They were results that defied the very principles of physics that govern our understanding of the universe. Reports from multiple sources suggest that the system produced outputs that seemed impossible to reconcile with our current scientific knowledge. These weren't just small anomalies or statistical errors. They were solutions that worked but shouldn't have existed in the context of established physical laws. The implications of such results are profound. If a quantum computer can produce outputs that defy our understanding of physics, it raises the question, what else might it uncover? And why was this information so sensitive that NASA chose to halt its research and remain silent? As more details about the situation began to emerge, it became clear that the response from NASA and the US government was not one of panic, but one of caution. In fact, the government's reaction seemed strangely coordinated with the quantum breakthrough. Shortly after the halt in operations at NASA, there was a significant increase in funding for quantum computing research. The National Quantum Initiative, which had been established to promote the development of quantum technologies, saw its budget increase by 400% in 2024. This surge in funding was accompanied by the creation of new divisions within the Pentagon dedicated to quantum research, as well as a sharp increase in classified briefings on quantum computing. The sudden escalation in government interest in the secrecy surrounding NASA's findings suggests that something extraordinary was happening and that the authorities may have been preparing for the potential consequences of these discoveries. What makes the situation even more perplexing is the silence from NASA's Quantum Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, Quail, the facility that had been responsible for much of the groundbreaking work in quantum computing. Since April 2023, when the initial pause occurred, Quail has not published a single new paper. This is highly unusual, given that the lab had previously been at the forefront of quantum research, regularly releasing groundbreaking studies and research papers. The absence of updates from such a prominent research facility is not only curious, but it also suggests that something far more significant is at play. The fact that NASA has chosen not to speak publicly about the results of its quantum research only adds to the sense of unease surrounding the situation. While NASA has remained silent, Google has continued to make waves in the quantum computing field. In December 2024, the company unveiled its Willow processor, a quantum breakthrough capable of performing calculations that would take classical supercomputers billions of years to complete. Willow represents a significant leap forward in quantum technology, and its release has further underscored the growing importance of quantum computing in solving complex problems. Yet, despite this major advancement, NASA has been eerily quiet, leading to even more speculation about the relationship between the two organizations and the nature of their work together. As we consider the potential reasons behind NASA's sudden silence, one of the most chilling possibilities is that the quantum computer may have uncovered something about the future, something we were never meant to know. While this may sound like science fiction, it is not as far-fetched as it may seem. Quantum computers have the ability to simulate incredibly complex systems, taking into account vast amounts of data and processing it in ways that classical computers cannot. This includes the ability to model chaotic systems, such as climate change, economic patterns, and even social dynamics. By analyzing these systems, quantum computers can predict future events with startling accuracy. What if NASA's quantum system, designed to model space weather and other astrophysical phenomena, had stumbled upon a pattern that predicted an impending global crisis? Perhaps the quantum computer was able to simulate the future in a way that no one could have anticipated, revealing catastrophic events that could have dire consequences for humanity. This possibility is not as far-fetched as it might seem. In recent years, researchers have used quantum computing to model complex systems with incredible precision. For example, MIT researchers have used quantum systems to predict market crashes with a high degree of accuracy, while Stanford's quantum lab was able to simulate the spread of pandemics years before they actually occurred. If quantum computers can predict such events with a high degree of certainty, what else might they be able to predict? If NASA's quantum computer did indeed uncover a potential future catastrophe, it would explain why the US government has been so quick to increase funding and oversight in the field. The government's increased investment in quantum research may not just be about advancing technology, it may be about preparing for an impending crisis. The Pentagon's creation of new quantum research divisions and the surge in classified briefings could be part of a broader effort to understand and mitigate the risks associated with the knowledge that quantum computing might uncover. If the quantum computer had predicted an unavoidable disaster, such as a climate catastrophe, an economic collapse, or even a societal collapse, the government would need to prepare for such an event in secret, away from the public eye. This raises the question, why would NASA keep such potentially world-altering information under wraps? Why halt a project that could change the course of human history and reveal solutions to some of the most pressing problems facing society today? The answer may lie in the fact that some discoveries are simply too dangerous to share. The implications of a quantum computer predicting the collapse of civilization or uncovering catastrophic events could be so overwhelming that it may be impossible to process, let alone act upon. In such cases, the best course of action might be to keep the information hidden, at least until a solution can be found. The idea that quantum computing could predict the future may seem like a stretch, but it is rooted in the very nature of the technology itself. Quantum computers can process vast amounts of data and simulate complex systems with unparalleled precision. They are capable of identifying patterns and connections that we cannot see, and they can make predictions about the future based on these patterns. If NASA's quantum system was able to identify an impending global crisis, it would be a discovery that would fundamentally change how we approach the future. And if that discovery was deemed too dangerous to share with the public, the only logical course of action would be to keep it a secret. As we step back and reflect on the developments surrounding NASA's quantum computing project, we find ourselves standing at the intersection of technological advancement and the unknown. The startling silence from NASA, combined with the sudden cessation of their quantum research, raises critical questions about the nature of what was discovered and why it was hidden from the public. The more we investigate, the more it seems that the implications of the findings go far beyond simple technological innovation. They have the potential to redefine our understanding of reality itself. What began as a promising breakthrough in quantum computing has now evolved into something far more complex and troubling. NASA's partnership with Google has given rise to some of the most powerful quantum computers in existence, machines capable of solving problems that were previously thought to be unsolvable. However, the results that came out of the system in late 2023 seem to go beyond the bounds of traditional scientific understanding. These results weren't just unusual, they were described as being fundamentally incompatible with the known laws of physics. The very fabric of what we understand about space, time, and matter seems to have been bent, and the responses from NASA and other involved parties have only deepened the mystery. The fact that NASA has remained silent about the project is deeply concerning. We are accustomed to the space agency being at the forefront of public scientific discourse, releasing research papers, and making advancements available to the broader scientific community. But in this case, the absence of new research papers and public updates since April 2023 is deafening. It suggests that something significant has occurred. Something that could not be shared, and possibly something that was never meant to be known. What is even more troubling is the pattern of government action following the discovery. In the wake of the pause in NASA's quantum research, the government significantly increased its investment in quantum technology. The National Quantum Initiative received a major funding boost, and new research divisions were created within the Pentagon. Additionally, there was a surge in classified briefings on quantum computing, suggesting that the government may be aware of something that the public is not. These actions raise the unsettling possibility that the discovery made by NASA's quantum system was so profound, so potentially disruptive, that it warranted immediate intervention and increased secrecy. While these developments may seem like a response to an anomaly, they could also be a sign that the quantum system has uncovered something far more troubling. If the quantum computer discovered something about our future, a potential catastrophe, a tipping point in climate change, or even the collapse of societal systems, it would explain why NASA and the government have taken steps to cover up the findings. The implications of such a discovery would be so massive, so world-altering, that it might be deemed too dangerous to release to the public. A prediction of global disaster, one that could be mathematically proven by the quantum system, might be the reason for the extreme measures taken to ensure that this information does not spread. The work done by NASA and Google in the realm of quantum computing has already shown the immense power of these machines. Quantum computers can process information in ways that classical computers cannot, and they can simulate complex systems with unprecedented accuracy. This includes the ability to model chaotic systems such as climate dynamics, population growth, and economic trends. If NASA's quantum system was able to detect patterns in these systems, it could have uncovered something troubling about the trajectory of humanity. Whether it is the discovery of irreversible environmental damage, economic collapse, or some other catastrophic event, the fact that NASA halted its research suggests that the information uncovered was something too significant to be shared with the public. We must also consider the broader implications of what quantum computing could mean for the future. If quantum systems are capable of modeling our world with such precision, they have the potential to predict future events with startling accuracy. This could range from predicting natural disasters to forecasting economic crises or even social upheaval. With the capability to simulate and predict complex systems, quantum computers could become powerful tools for not only understanding the future, but potentially altering it. However, as we have seen with NASA's project, the knowledge these systems uncover may be too much to handle, and there may be a valid reason for keeping such information hidden.